Well, good morning, Liberal Kansas, Southwest Kansas, the Oklahoma Panhandle, and all other places where you tune in to get your news and views from the middle of America. This row with the leader in times. On the far side, Jim Rice, just off camera, B. Simons. And it's Thursday, which means Seward County Community College Day here on the show. We have Darren Workman from Seward County Community College's music department. They've got a big event coming up. So, Darren, we appreciate you. I know you probably, on the other end where the sun's going down doing concerts, but here the sun's coming up and you're here on this show, so we appreciate you getting up early and coming in.
Oh, I'm an early morning. This time of year I'm used to going to school when it's dark and coming home when it's dark.
And so we appreciate that. And so what's coming up? It's holiday season. I'm sure you got some events planned at the college.
Yes, this Friday night, December 1st, will be our annual winter concert. Christmas concert, feature the concert band and also the concert choir at night at 7 o'clock.
And you guys it's been a tradition at Seward County Community College. How long have you guys been doing this?
I bet this is my 29th winter concert. Man, that sounds terrible. But it's also my last one because I am retiring at the end of this school year. And so this whole year is going to be kind of special for me. So last of a lot of things coming up this year. We have a good group this year.
Yeah, I think B and I think we were out at the spring concert last year. You went to that, didn't you? Yeah. So we were out at your spring concert and that. And how many of those kids carried over from last year to this year?
I think there was like 10 or 11. We have a big freshman class, which was really great. We're balanced this year. I could use a few more flute and clarinets, which I never thought I'd say out loud. But I really could. I have a really good brass section this year.
So tell us a little bit about a little preview. What kind of music did you pick? I know that there's always an attempt to blend a lot of different styles and things like that. What are we looking at?
Well, for the band part, I picked a lot of music. And actually, Phil always teases me about this, that I did actually pick some music that people will be able to recognize some of the melodies. And band directors always have a hard time. Christmas music, they're carols, so the songs are usually simple songs because they're rememberable. So it's hard, especially at the level that we're at, to try to find music that's going to challenge the kids. But it's all fairly difficult music, especially our last song. It's called Toboggan. You're going to hear a lot of strange sounds. It's about a toboggan racing down a hill. First thing, I had to explain what a toboggan was to all my students. And so now they just call it the sled song.
Well, are you saying Jingle Bells doesn't give enough of a challenge for a college-age kid?
I think that was in your 5th grade band book.
Yeah,
if you
yeah. Well, Sleigh Ride can give you a little bit
Sleigh
of push.
Ride is a hard song. High school did that last year, and they did the original version of it and did a great job with it. I enjoy the original version of it.
My band director, Richard Honish, in high school.
Know him well.
My freshman year, we did Christmas concert. We had Sleigh Ride in it, and we had practiced it, nailed it every time until the performance night. And at the end where you do the clip clop, clip clop, clip clop, and then everyone bump bump. Well, we had bump 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 bump. And so his policy was, if we don't do it right, we don't do it at all. That was the last Christmas concert.
Oh.
We didn't do it my sophomore, junior, senior year. I mean, there were tears coming out the back door on that thing. Nobody noticed it. And even when we listened back on Monday, because we'd always listen back to our deals, it didn't even sound like that from the audience side, but we heard it on stage. But one of the numbers that we did that I really liked, I'd say suggest this for a future year, but I guess moot point for you now. But we played Peanuts Christmas.
That's a good arrangement. We actually have that. I haven't used it, but it's a really, really good piece. It's the same arrangement, but there's quite a few arrangements of that.
Well, when when he was playing the record, they used to have these things called records. Maybe you know those.
That's how we picked out our music. When I first was a band director, you get a catalog. It's got all the new songs in it, and it had one of those floppy records in it, and that's what you'd listen to.
Well, we were playing the sample of it before we played the Peanuts, and when it got to, you know what this is, Linus and Lucy, I literally, half my body tingled. I love that. I love that song. Of course, I grew up with the specials. You know, it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, Charlie Brown Christmas, all of those things. But Christmas Time is Here. What's it, Vince Guaraldi? Is he the guy?
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, just great music. But Linus and Lucy, I have it on my phone. I mean, I'll play that on my car every now and then. But now you do the band side, and the choir is?
Dr. Silva does the choir side. And I'm sorry, I was trying to be prepared and got a program from my office coordinator, and I left it on my desk and thinking that I'd go to the office, but I live so close to here that I didn't do it.
And so you don't know exactly what they're going to be singing?
Well, I did kind of look. They're doing some traditional, but she's kind of doing like I am. There's quite a few songs that are from other countries, Christmas songs. And I actually walked through yesterday. I was walking through the theater to go to a meeting, and choir was rehearsing. It sounded really good, so I think it's going to be really enjoyable.
Well, I mean, you mentioned, you know, things like Jingle Bells would be in a very elementary book, but how do you try to pick things to challenge the college kids? And yeah, I know that you would think the audience would want to hear some things with familiarity, but you also want these kids to push themselves, right?
That's right. I mean, we're a college, and they really do need to be pushed. They're pushed in high school. The music program's great at the high school. And so when I get those kids coming up, I don't think they want to stay at the same level. And so band works are usually ranked 1 through 6. It's a 6-number system. And so I try to pick 2 or 3 4s and then a couple of 5s. And I picked one that's a hard 5 this year, Toboggan, which I always pick one song at the beginning of the year. I pass out like 10 songs and we sight read. Well, I picked this song because it's a brand new song that just came out this year, but it's super hard. I didn't think we'd be able to play it. I always like to pick one that is what I feel is above this level. But this has happened the last couple of years. I'll tell them later on that, I only picked this because I didn't think you can play it. And if you have the right group, they take it personally, and now it's their favorite, because I let them kind of pick out of 8 songs or 9 songs which of the 5 or 6 they want to play.
And so, you know, when you look at a high school band, they've got 4 years, a lot larger student population, and so, you know, they can put together 100 plus piece orchestra. But how do you put together yours? I mean, do you go out and recruit? Do you how do you build, and how many people do you put together?
Well, I'm more worried not about the number, more about the balance of the group between brass and woodwinds. And recruiting wise, I mean, yes, and we have kids that come out for visits, but I've known Drew Johnson since he was little, and we're good friends, and so I've went out a couple times last year to direct the high school band and rehearse them, and which I really enjoy doing when I'm out there. So I get to know the kids personally, but I have an advantage college-wise. The kids that I get, they want to continue playing. Very few parents are forcing their kids to play band in college. So the ones that I get are the ones that truly love playing in band.
And so, you know, I mean, the one thing I see that is a challenge for you, like you said, getting the right instrumentation. You know, if you had one year 3 or 4 people want to play tuba and 1 or 2 trumpets, it'd be a little issue.
Yeah, a little issue. Or if I had 9 trumpets, I'd probably retire before now.
The trumpet, always felt like they got the best stuff. They always got the melody. They were always the feature.
They're always the loudest too. And usually it's kind of funny because each instrument kind of has a personality of the kids that gravitate to it. Your troublemakers are usually your trumpets,
I can see
alto
that.
saxophones, which I was saxophone. Your quiet ones are like your flutes and your clarinets, the higher academic kids.
The cerebral players.
Yeah.
And trombones, all these that give you that well-rounded sound. But it just depends on who's coming to Seward County and how many of them want to continue in band.
Well, we're very blessed on that. I was worried about tuba this summer, but I got a young man out of Guyman High School play tuba, which he is not trying to get an associate's degree. He's actually majoring in auto mechanics. And I have like 6, 7 kids that are on the tech side, which is really cool. I've tried to make an effort. I've gotten to know some of the guys on that side. So they help me recruit over at the tech school because those are full day programs. So we have to work out, the teachers have to agree to let them out to come over for rehearsal at 1 o'clock.
They may have a better understanding of the mechanics of the instrument.
Yeah,
The size of the tubes, the valves opening up the different spaces to get the different sounds.
Well, I'm always joking, if I need something done at the house, I'll just ask one of my band kids, because I have a welding major, I have a drafting major, I have a diesel mechanic, and then I have auto mechanics.
So looking back at 29 years of doing this, what are some of the highlights? What were some of the concerts or pieces or moments that stand out to you?
I really can't remember the pieces. The things I really remember over the years is, because that's a lot of students when you're thinking about it. But I think the thing that I remember the characters in my groups. They're the ones that maybe were trying to test me more, but yet they're the ones that'll come back and visit. Because, I hate to say this on air, but I'm starting to get kids of kids that I've had. And that's really scary. It was like last year, he graduated, he was auto mechanics, but Senator Holmes complained. I had Senator Holmes' son when I taught at Southwestern Heights. And then I just got done with Senator Holmes' grandchild, the son of the dad I taught. So it makes me feel old, but it's also kind of nice. The kids, I think, feel comfortable because I'm hoping the parents are saying when they see that I'm the director that, hey, I really enjoyed band. You need to take that to college.
Yeah, and I took band out here at Seward County Community College when I was a student, and it does give you a little bit more of that outlet because you're going from high school to college. The classes are going to be a little more intense. You got to be a little more self-responsible for what you're doing. But then to get to go over and pick up the instrument for a little while and do that, it's a great release.
Who was your band director?
I'm trying to remember his name. He was a blonde-headed guy. I was going to bring up one instance where I know that he was a junior high director before he came out there because we wanted to play the Hay song on the pep band side of it. That was big right then.
Yeah.
KU band was doing it, and he said, "Oh, you can't play that." And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Well, it's got a cuss word in it." I said, "It does?" And he said, "Yeah. When at the end of it, when the people are saying I said, hey, when you play the da da, hey, da da da, and then I guess some people were saying after that, we're going to beat the heck out of you. I'll just say it like that. And I was like, this is college.
Yeah.
They're playing it across the country. I think we can handle it. I think our group can handle it. But we didn't get to end up playing the Hay song. I was disappointed with that.
Well, it's really kind of easy too.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, I still have a recording of the 1988 National Championship between Kansas and Oklahoma, and they played the Hay song. And if you buy the video, you won't get it because they cut out the commercials. But in one stop, they decided not to go to the commercial and stay with the band, and they played the Hay song, and I love that part. But I was recording it that night anyway. I was a junior in high school, when Kansas played in that. But I always liked the Hey song. But we would play When the Saints Go Marching In. Of course, that would be like the school's fight song. I'm assuming you have a fight song still.
No, and it's actually my fault that that's not our fight song anymore, because When the Saints Go Marching In, it's a funeral song in New Orleans. And I kind of felt strongly that a sacred song should not be a pep band song. Even the New Orleans Saints don't use it, the professional football. But I had to tell them that's a funeral sacred song to the Creoles.
So what did you switch it to something, or just do away with it altogether?
We don't have one at all.
It was better to not have one.
There was discussion what we were going to do when we switched mascots. Actually have a mascot, Louie. What do you do? A Renaissance march or something?
As your last famous act, maybe you better review or rewrite that and
Yeah.
make it worth something you can use.
I'll write a bad one and make them use it.
I'm a big fan of fight songs, and I got to say, I think USC's is the best.
I would agree.
It sounds like the gladiators are coming over the hill, and you're doomed. I mean,
like
that's what a
Notre
song
Dame.
is supposed to sound like.
Yeah. I like Notre Dame's also.
The reason I don't like Notre Dame's
Because you don't like Notre Dame.
no, because I was a South Apache, and the West Warriors played Notre Dame's fight song, so that couldn't be. The South fight song was Michigan.
Yeah, that was one of my high schools. I hate it now at Nebraska because I'm a Nebraska fan. The two high schools I taught at, I had Michigan's fight song and Northwestern's fight song.
And of course, the high school here is Wisconsin's fight song.
Yeah, Wisconsin, and that's horrible.
So now I'll tell you how far band has come. You probably wouldn't get away with this, but when I was in band, and of course our band director was a legendary guy. I mean, Division I ratings from 72 to 89. I mean, incredible. And we got to go march in London. I mean, a lot of opportunities. Tournament of Roses before that, the band did, and things like that. So just an incredible career for him on that. But he would blend some different songs in marching, put together the numbers, do those kind of things. I mean, it was a special time for band, when you have a director like that. But, our fight song on Wisconsin. And in the third quarter, we used to play Here Comes the King at the end of the third, going into the fourth quarter.
Remember that.
That's Here Comes a One, Here Comes a Delicious One. Bum,
Okay.
bum, bum, bum. I mean, they wouldn't do that. I think Wisconsin still does that. But being we're a high school, playing the Budweiser theme probably wouldn't go over very well, but it was called Here Comes the King.
I used to play that when I was at Southwestern Heights when I moved to Kansas, and I had a school board member. I had a parent complain about it, so I took it out of our pep band stuff. I had the president of the school board love that song, and he goes, "You play it." He goes, "I'll handle any complaints." Because most of the kids had no idea, that was an old song. I think, is that from the 60s?
Oh yeah, and I have that on my phone.
Oh.
But I like a lot of the old jingles too. Back then you had that.
That's when they didn't all sound the same.
No, and you would associate with the product, armored hot dogs.
Oh, yeah.
My bologna has a first name. I mean, little jingles, really, music, I don't think we realize, or I do, because I love it, but the effect music can have in our life.
Oh, I totally agree. And it used to be, even if you heard it without the words, you would know which product
Exactly.
it was.
Yeah.
Just the music.
Yeah.
And you really don't have that anymore with
No.
anything.
No. And the other thing is, now you tell me what you think, because you're the musical expert, but everyone knows, Beethoven, Schubert, all of these greats. But I believe, we'll be dead and gone, but I believe John Williams is going to be in that category.
And I just mentioned that yesterday in class, in my advanced music theory class, and we're taking music and rearranging it right now into different styles, because I teach you can still write music that sounds like it's from the Renaissance period and stuff, as long as you've studied what the was normal back then. And I mentioned John Williams because he basically invented kind of what space music sounds like with Star Wars and all that. And it's done movies from different time periods, but John Williams is great. There's also a young girl, I wish I could remember her name. I should look it up. I saw a 60 Minutes thing on her. She, at the time of 60 Minutes, she's like 14. She's American, and it's already composed symphonies, full symphonies. So we still have some of those, but John Williams, Quincy Jones, there's a few of those. Alan Silvestri, that does some of the Marvel movies that are still
Rocky.
Right. Rocky, yeah. There's a group of those guys that they know the music theory, so they can write to match what they want. They know what they're doing. But you're right, John Williams is probably my favorite because being a Canadian, but we pretty much adopt him as being an American, writes for the U.S. Olympic gymnastics team, does all the routines.
Gosh, if you hear the theme of Jaws, if the hair in the back of your neck doesn't go up, and you definitely say, if you were around water, you would not go in it,
Yeah.
just because of the theme. And Superman, I mean, when you hear
Oh,
that,
yeah.
who doesn't recognize that?
was one-
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that was one of my fun concerts when you were talking about that 2-3 years ago. I can't remember how far back, but I did the great movie composers for a spring concert, and I set up 2 screens on the opposite sides of the stage, and we showed the movie trailer and then played the song. But I did the Superman theme and the original Superman theme.
Yeah. I don't think I went to that one, but I did go to one where you're playing little pieces of them. And so we're, as the audience, we're trying to guess them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which one was that? Which movie was that? Which movie was that? And so I enjoy that kind of a thing.
I kind of gotten into that the last few years, and the band helps me decide. I'm trying to decide now. I'll work on it next week a lot harder after the concert's over. But for the spring concert, I usually try to have some sort of theme, either patriotic or something like that. That was one of my favorite concerts too, was the patriotic concert a couple of years ago.
Well, and you tell me about this, but I also think you mentioned the jingles are gone, but I also think some of the TV themes, there were some great ones back in the 80s. I mean, from St. Elsewhere, Hill Street Blues, Miami Vice, Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean,
I always liked the Barney Miller
oh yeah.
theme. It was kind of jazzy and
Yeah. Well, and if you want to go even those sitcom type shows, you even had the Facts of Life. You had several of those different strokes. Gosh, go back to Gilligan's Island. Who doesn't know? Who didn't remember that theme? The Brady Bunch. But they had little jingles and that kind of a thing. I don't know who's doing the modern ones, but if you talk about John Williams, like The Mandalorian, I don't know if you've watched that, but I love the music of The
I've heard it
Mandalorian
when
too.
I haven't watched the show, but I've seen the previews for it.
Oh, that's if you like John Williams. I'm not saying it is John Williams. I don't
know
think
who.
it is, but it's very good. It fits, you know, the characters and that kind of a thing, and that's I think what's the genius of Williams. The other thing is in the modern era, a couple of the bands. I was at Universal a few years back, and we just picked one day during the Christmas season. We spend most of our time at Disney, but we were getting ready to leave, and it was about 7 o'clock, and they have this concert area set up, and right then music started as we're headed to the exit, and it's Mannheim Steamroller playing.
You know, that's from my state, my home state. They're from Omaha, Nebraska. I have been probably half a dozen Christmas Eve concerts with Mannheim Steamroller growing up. They're famous in my state.
Famous in the
Yeah,
worldwide.
Well, I talk about it when I teach a jazz appreciation class, jazz, and then I go into the 60s and 70s rock, how it migrates to it. But when I was talking about the tone painting, and that's what it is, they can create an image in your head of what the song's about without seeing a video or anything. So I always turn off the projector and I make the kids guess what's this song about. And then I said, okay, it's Mannheim Steamroller. And this year was really strange because the baseball players cheated. I didn't know there was apps that you can just poke a button and it'll tell you exactly what the song is. Like 3 songs in a row, this one baseball player got them exactly, the name of the song and the group. And I'm going, there's no 18, 19-year-old that knows who Mannheim Steamroller is. And then I tell them, when you go to Walmart, about October is when they set up the Christmas stuff at Walmart, and you'll see a big bin with Christmas CDs in it. Half of them will be Mannheim Steamroller.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they played one that I hadn't heard before at that, and so I had to look it up, and I had to do what they did because I was recording with my phone that Mannheim as we were watching that before my guy came and said, "Oh, I'm parked out front," because we did transportation, so I didn't get to see the whole thing. We'd already called them, but Celebration.
Oh.
And that's a great number. I thought I had all the Mannheim stuff, but I obviously missed one that had that on there. That's a great.
Yeah, they have so many CDs. I'd like to think I have them all too, but I'm not sure if I do. My favorites, they did one to raise money when, I can't remember if it was back in the 80s when Yellowstone had the big fire and the government didn't have the money to help replant the trees. So a bunch of artists put together albums and donated the money to help replant trees in Yellowstone. And they have a CD called Yellowstone, and it's definitely my favorite.
So let me ask you this, because you're around young people. At some point, we give up on keeping up with music. I don't know when that happens, but I know it happened because the new stuff, I'm completely detached from it. But, my era, was the 80s. I love the 80s. I love, Sirius XM because you can listen to exactly what you want to listen to. Of course, I have Holly going now for the holiday season, but have you been able to continue to keep up with all the music because of being with the young people around, or am I wrong, or is it true that at some point your music interest cuts?
Yeah, I don't as much. Having kids at home, when my kids are at home, probably same for you, you do get some of the newer stuff. Plus, I have a wife who does like some of the newer stuff. So when we're traveling, we kind of take turns which XM station it goes on, and she does like channel 2. It's never on in my vehicle, but right now I have 70s going in my vehicle when I pulled up. So no, I don't keep up as much. Usually at the end of the semester, my jazz class, they do a speech on public speaking, where I work on speaking in public with them. And they do it on their favorite musician or any musician, and they have to play a clip. I learned more from that. This year I didn't do it because I have 43 kids in that class, and it would take too many classes to do all the speeches, but that's one way I keep up. But I have not kept up. My wife mentioned a group. She goes, "Have you listened to this group?" And it was Bad Bunny. I go, "That sounds like a cartoon." But they're very popular now, or he, if it's the name of the artist. So, no, I don't keep up.
Yeah, I freaked my daughters out one time. I don't know where I heard it because I don't listen to the modern stuff either, but there's a song, "Shut Up and Dance With Me." But it's got like an 80s sound to it. So that came on where we were all somewhere together, and then when I shared the next lyric, they're like, "You know this?" Like, "Oh yeah," like as if I knew them all or something like that. And they were almost, I think, about ready to throw up because I knew a song that they knew. And they were like, "No," that ruined it for them. I don't think they've ever listened to that again. But it's just how is it that music relates to us? Especially, I would say, your late teens, early 20s is probably the height of whatever. Now, when I try to talk to Jim over there, he says Bing Crosby's still current. So, I don't know where he's at. But what is it in us that connects us to our music?
Well, you're actually absolutely correct. There's a lot of scientific thing when you go into psychology and development of the brain. You develop your listening between 14 and 22 years old. And you will find yourself, even if, I always ask the kids, how many of your parents listen to the same music? And I'll get a few to raise their hand. And then I say, well, those are the parents who are trying to be the cool parents pretending that. But we go back to our music. It's like when I was growing up in junior high in a farm area, everything was country. I grew up with Hank Williams, not Junior, Hank Williams, Patsy Cline, all those, and I hated it. I was a kid that wanted to get away and went into 70s rock and stuff like that. But I find myself, the older I get, every once in a while, Willie's Roadhouse gets put on my XM, and I listen to those stuff because you're formed at that early age, and you can't fight it. Yeah, if you're really into music, like you're into music, you will listen to a lot of stuff. I mean, I do listen to classical, jazz, rock. But if I had to pick my favorites, late 70s, early 80s is my area.
Yeah, and you know, the sad thing is, I don't know how it was for you growing up, but I was force-fed country as a child,
Me too.
and you know, I don't think highly of whoever invented hee-haw, or and especially when they started the Nashville network, then that was it. TV was ruined from then on, because I don't think my grandparents' television ever turned off of that network. But when I'm playing some trivia games on the phone or something and I'm behind, I will pick classic country, because as bad as I hate it, I know it. And you know, when you have to answer Conway Twitty, and whoever you're playing on the other side doesn't have a clue who he is, or Buck Owens, or you know, some of that stuff. But you know, so yeah, when you're growing up and that influence of music, is there a rebellion to that from?
I mean, some kids. I mean, I rebelled against what my parents listened to, but now I'm going back. You're making a big deal that you had to watch hee-haw on TV. You only had 3 channels.
That's right.
So I had 2 other options. There were 2 other options.
Well, the other option was probably Lawrence Welk.
Yeah, we got stuck with that.
Yeah, that's right.
Barbara Mandrell and Porter Wagner.
Yeah.
And
I have a picture. I got to try to find it. My mom's had it, and my mom passed away this last summer, so I have these pictures. But when I was like 3 years old, my mom and dad took a trip to the Grand Ole Opry, and I'm with them. My brother wasn't born yet, so I know I was before the age of 4. But I have a picture standing between Porter Wagner and Dolly Parton, because they were a duet for a long time.
Yeah.
And Dolly's got the big old hair, and both of them are wearing the sparkles. And Porter Wagner, I think he had to be at least 6'4", 6'5". He was a tall guy, and I'm this little kid just down in between. I got to get that and see if I can get it framed up and stuff.
Yeah, that stuff was on show after show after show on the weekends, and then, you know, like Lawrence Welk, you know, the Bubbles, and all of that stuff. But actually, a few years ago, I got to go to, I was at a publisher's meeting, and Pete Fontaine, who was a clarinetist.
Great clarinetist
with
from New Orleans.
Yeah,
Yep.
he was. I got to do a concert with him down in Gulfport.
He's phenomenal. At one time, considered the best clarinet player in the world.
Yeah, amazing stuff.
Yeah.
But, well, we've kept you here. Let's give the people, if they want to go to the concert, how do they do it?
All right. They can call my office coordinator, Jen Player, which I recommend. She's new this year, and I need to get her getting to know our community a little bit, at 620-417-1451. Or they can get tickets at the door. And we are moving into the technology age. We even have a credit card machine. Yeah, now I'm not saying we're going to be able to figure out how to use it, but we have one. Our business person thought that would be important. But it's $3 a ticket. Now that, usually we don't charge for most things at the college, which is one of the things I really like, a ball game and stuff like that. But when I started at the college 29 years ago, I had 2 scholarships. And that was it. Choir had 2, band had 2, and that paid for books. Now, when I started doing that, all of that $3 goes into student scholarships. And now I can offer 18, and Magda can offer 18 scholarships. So we built it from 4 total scholarships to 36. And we have 2 of them that have a dollar amount attached to them now. And so that's really a good thing. You know, it's just $3. Where else can you get entertainment for $3?
You can't do anything for $3.
You
No.
can't even at the convenience store get a big candy bar for $3 anymore. I mean,
That's surprising. I just traveled over Thanksgiving, and I go in, and usually my wife, pulls out the money because I never have my wallet on me. But I was traveling by myself. I go in, I get a pop, and it was over $2. When did it go over $1?
yeah. Well, and
Candy bars is $3.
Yeah.
inflation. But even at the concession stand at the ball games, things have gone up a bit too. But that's just the way it goes. But no, for $3 for what you guys offer, it's incredible. So you want to come out, and it's going to a good cause because it's going to go to scholarships. So come on out. What time does it get started?
7 o'clock. Doors will open at 6:30. Now, if you get out there early enough, 6:30 or a little before that, you will see our newly remodeled lobby coming in. If you didn't attend the fall play, we've been doing a lot of remodeling at the college, new floors and stuff like that. The bathrooms are completely remodeled, the ones for the theater. And so come out 6:30, it'll open up. If you want to get good seats, it's usually a pretty full concert out there. And so I'm hoping it'll be that way because right now I work really hard in the summer. Sometimes it's hard to try to find a Friday that there's not something going on during the Christmas season. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
But there's so much stuff, but that's what's kind of cool about our community. We have a lot of stuff that goes on, and I think sometimes people don't take advantage of it, and you should.
Yeah, well, it's a theme on this show to say if you don't think there's anything to do in Liberal, that's your fault because there's plenty going on.
I hear that all the time, and I say, can be. The high school's always got something going on. We always have something going on campus.
Look at just this week. Last night you guys had basketball games. Tonight you've got the Living Nativity opens up. Tomorrow night you've got the Living Nativity, your concert, high school basketball games. Saturday you've got the Christmas parade, the folk art festival going on. It's just, there's not just one thing, there's choices. When people say there's nothing to do, there's so many things to do, you got to pick, because you can't get to everything. And having the college Christmas concert on Friday, and you got to get to that. That's because you're only doing it once.
Yes. Yeah, just once. We used to try to do the multiple concerts, and we'd get the same number of people, but
Spread out.
It's spread out. And for the kids, I think it's pretty special for the kids. Even though our theater's not as like Liberal High School's theater, but it's a very intimate performance place and a nice place to hear a concert. Our acoustics are really good.
I was going to say, the high school is second to none for that size of a venue out anywhere, even the larger places I've been for a high school, you're not going to see that. But yours is smaller, but for its size, I'd put it up, if anything, what's the capacity of that, Phil? 300?
302 to be exact. Since I'm the division chair of the humanities, I have to worry about the fire marshal.
So 302, and you show me a better 302 venue. I mean, the sound's good in there. What you can do with lighting on the sides of the stage for 302, you're going to be up close. Even if you're in the back row, you're going to be up close to what's going on. And so it's a great venue. I think that's the best 1,200 seat venue at the high school, and I think that's the best 300 seat venue from anything I've seen in the whole region. So I think you're fortunate to have what you have. And
I am too, and we've kept it up. I mean, it's only been probably 5-6 years that we replaced the sound and the lights in there. Even though I don't know how to work the computer that controls everything now, but hopefully the new band director will be a lot smarter with computer stuff than me.
Miller was the last name of the guy that was our
Don
director.
Miller.
Yeah.
That's the guy I replaced. I still have him on Facebook. We still message each other. He's a nice guy. I really liked him.
Ask him, hey, did you ever play the Hey Song with anybody after you left Seward?
Oh, I
Just
asked him
curious.
that. I was on there. I just remember going to his office. He had a gerbil. You remember
No,
that?
I don't remember the gerbil.
Yeah, or a hamster. I can't tell the difference between them. But
gosh.
a rat in his office. That's what I always called it when I'd go talk with him.
So make sure you get out there, support Seward County Community College Music Department, $3, and put that towards scholarships. Come in, enjoy a nice evening of holiday music. You know, we were just talking before the show, this is the last day in November. December starts tomorrow, and it's going to be Christmas before you know it. So enjoy the season and get out and enjoy these events. The work that they've done to put this together for you to come out and experience it and enjoy it. And you get to hear some new things. I'm sure you guys are going to play something I bet you a lot of people around here haven't heard.
Yeah, I can guarantee that. But we'll also play some stuff that people will recognize that'll be put in a different setting. So it's a good group, fun group. I have no idea what will happen. They're an energetic group, and so
Banter is always a good thing, but it's
Yeah.
a scary thing.
yeah, it's scary because you never know what's going to. And usually it's not the Christmas concert; it's usually the spring concert. They get even with me during the year because I'm kind of sarcastic with them, and so I don't chew them out. I usually just make fun of them if they screw something up, and so they get even with me. But it's going to be fun. The good thing about being an energetic group, I have no concerns about nerves this year from the kids.
Just
Well-
because you're the director don't mean you're in control of what happens.
Well, as Magda puts my rehearsals, she calls it organized chaos. Because I like it. I think kids are more creative if they're having fun, and also think that they're in charge. So
If you can do that, you've got buy-in.
Yes.
And they'll do a lot more for
yeah,
you.
they will. They're pretty good. Yesterday I asked, hey, can I get a few volunteers to help me get chairs and stuff to the back of the stage? I had a student coming in after band to do a makeup test. I go back in there and they have everything already moved. I have no idea how many of them. It could have been all of them. Just decided, let's get all this stuff moved.
Well, you mentioned sarcasm. I saw a meme, I got to say, that explains it. But it was Statler and Waldorf, the old guys off of the Muppets, and it said, if you grew up watching these people, it's no wonder everyone thinks we're sarcastic. So
They were my favorite off Sesame Street.
Yeah.
I loved when they came on. I need to just see if I can find YouTube videos of just them.
Oh, they're hilarious. They're hilarious. 7 o'clock Friday night. The number's down below. You can call that number and get your tickets or show up at the door. Just get there. Best seating is get early. Opening the doors at 6:30,
Yes.
and the concert starts at 7. We'll hopefully get to see you in the spring before retirement.
I
Come
hope
back and
so.
see us.
And you won't see me in my tux either this concert. The dry cleaner shrunk my tux again.
Again.
Did that happen at Kentucky Fried Chicken or what?
Kentucky Fried Chicken and many other places in town contributed to my
The
tux
shrinkage, yes.
not fitting. My wife's out of town. She gets back today, and I text her and I said, because she was going, you better try on your tux. You've gained a little over there. And I said, I haven't gained a pound since I was a senior in high school, which is probably the biggest lie I've ever told.
Yeah.
Well, I can say this: I feel the pain, and
Well,
you
it's
know,
more than one. I mean, not a single pound. That's different than, a
30,
lot of them.
40.
Yeah, 30 or 40. That's right.
so get out there and support them tomorrow night, and we wish you well. Hope it goes well, and we look
Always
forward to it.
enjoy this.
We'll see you again. So we got some more news and views we're going to share with you, and we're going to do that right after. Fall off the bone ribs, dripping with our signature barbecue sauce. Tender pulled pork and brisket smoked to perfection. All served with family recipe home-style sides. It's all waiting for you at the Brick House Barbecue and Brew. Open 7 days a week, your barbecue appetite can be satisfied anytime for lunch or dinner. Brick House serves full dinners, combos, sandwiches, and take-home packs. Enjoy a variety of brews on tap or a mixed drink. Shaken, not stirred. Give your taste buds a treat at Brick House Barbecue and Brew, 24 East 2nd Street in Liberal.
us on Facebook and see our full menu at brickhouselk.com.
Always good to hear from the music department of college, and get out there 7 o'clock. A lot of things going on. Gosh, what a busy weekend. Folk Art Festival Saturday and Sunday out at the Activity Center, and that's always a big show. And gosh, you should have got a booth for your Christmas tree.
Yeah, well, I can't keep up the way it is. I'm going to deliver one today. I just finished it up last night. So anyway, but I had a lot of fun doing that.
House, or put it together like it's born?
Yeah, no, it's already put together and stained. I stained this one, first one I ever did like that, but they wanted to kind of match their decor in their house and said, could you stain that? Well, I guess so. So I went out yesterday afternoon and put a little stain on it, and it turned out really neat.
So not only are you building these things, now you're getting requests for how to
customize them. Yeah, because I never built a Christmas tree that was stained before. I know the place that I kind of got the idea to do those. They had some of them were painted black, and I didn't necessarily. Black was all right. And then I seen a little green one. It was a dark green, and I thought that's the one I want. And so I kind of bought that for a pattern and to help the guy out. And because he was way up in Colorado, I didn't figure what few I could build to hurt his business any. So anyway, but I've kept busy doing that and having a lot of fun at it. Learning something every time I make one.
Well, I tell you, there was a little sad news yesterday with the passing of Henry Kissinger.
Yep.
And from all the secretaries of state that I know of, I put Kissinger at the top of the list. Just an incredible communicator, and really helped shape the world. There's some things, looking back, I don't know if they turned out the right way, opening China for one, but when you looked at the relationship between America and China prior to that, it was one of confrontation, that we were eventually going to go to war. And the thing is, if it becomes a war of attrition, we're in trouble, because there's like 1 billion of them and 300 million of us. So that's 3 to 1. But he worked with Nixon to open up China. He established some of the first peace in the Middle East that was really raging, and got that area settled down, brought an end to Vietnam. So, he was a pretty instrumental person of his era. When you go back and look at what defines the late 60s, early 70s, and Kissinger's fingerprints are all over it. And not only that, I think that when you look at his history, he led a lot of other presidents, or consulted with a lot of other presidents as well. What's your thoughts on Kissinger?
Well, he's probably one of the first ones that I remember of actually having. Yeah, you better get that on. Anyway, he thought we were done. Anyway, but no, I kind of remember him as been pretty active in. Sometimes I kind of question some of his actions, but I didn't realize he was that old. But, between him and Rosalind Carter, she was 97, I think, or something like that. And so those are two rather iconic names, I think, in American politics and around the circle. So anyway, it was kind of a surprise to see that he had passed, and also when I flipped over there and I see he was 100, I didn't realize that he was that old.
So, B, I know that you're a little bit older than me. So Kissinger. I was really young. I studied Kissinger. I was alive but not aware. So, what's your thoughts on Kissinger?
Yeah, very well spoken man. When he talked, you kind of knew that he had something to say, and I said he had a way about himself of making sure that you understood what he was talking about, and I think he did a great things for this country. And yeah, I didn't realize he was 100 either. It's like when I saw that, it's like, holy cow, because he just seemed like he's like kind of timeless. You know, one of those people that you thought was going to live forever. But yeah, I thought it was a great man, and saddened by his passing.
So, gosh, I got to do the math here, but if he's 123, so when he was serving, he would have been about 45, 50, you know, serving the country, and he was Jewish, of course, and you know, I just wonder, you know, from all the work that's been done over the decades and to try to bring peace to the Middle East, and then he sees what's going on now, you know, I mean, it would have been great to have gotten his thoughts on this, and you know, how is that area just been, you know, such an area of turmoil. I did see a message that said, you know, we're about to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, and there are some who believe Jews only have a claim to that area since 1948. That was 2,000 years ago. And, you know, here we are, you know, still in turmoil in that area. And greats like Kissinger even, you know, couldn't get it, obviously, you know, it's still blown up, you know. So, I mean, what do you, I don't know what's it going to take, if it's even possible, to bring peace to that area.
It's going to take a lot of reorganization in the United States government, as I see it, because, you know, this ceasefire thing is, you know, pretty scary to me. I realize it's important to get what prisoners out we can get out, but on the other hand, you know, I watched a colonel, that guy's name John Mills this morning, I believe it was, and he said his main concern is what is going in back in as supplies in these trucks. He said they're going back in and supposedly bringing food and water and what have you back into to Gaza. But he said, how do you really know that that's the only thing they're taking in there? He said they're unchecked. They're not inspected at all. They're just loading stuff up and hauling it back in there. So he said, what's really in those trucks of resupply? And, you know, every day that, you know, they said there's still, I don't know, 140 prisoners or something. Well, if they release 10 or 12 a day, that's going to be at least 2 weeks, 2 more weeks, in addition to the ones that we've already had, getting all of those prisoners out if they, you know, if they decide to let them go. But I don't know if we've been hornswoggled or not, but I'm thinking that, you know, the United States is behind this action. And sure, everybody wants peace in the region, but, you know, I've seen somebody the other day that said Israel has been on ceasefire since 2021. And look what happened. After a couple of years of complete ceasefire, they were attacked, and, you know, lots and lots of innocent folks died as a result of that ceasefire. So I don't know. It's scary, scary stuff. But you know, I've always felt that, you know, this negotiation that was going on was brought forth by this administration, and, you know, the honesty behind a lot of their decisions isn't necessarily really out front and shining bright until later on. And you know, when we find out the real truth, it isn't really, you know, what we were being told to start with. But you know, I don't know. It's they've got a heck of a mess over there, and, you know, Kissinger might have described it as chaos, because I think that could be what it is, and I think a lot of that is because the United States government got involved.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that we have the influence we think that we have with the Israelis. The Israelis are a little bit perturbed that Netanyahu has even done a pause. They want it wiped out. They're done with it. They are done with it as a people. And, you know, what role or right do we even have to think we can tell Israel what their safety should or shouldn't be? Recently, the president has tried to say, well, you can't go into the south like you did the north. And the spokesman for Netanyahu has already said, we've got to do whatever it takes, and we will. We're going to do whatever it takes to eradicate Hamas. You know, whoever thinks you can set some other nation's standards, you know, and the president has been careful, and so has the State Department, to say, you know, they're an independent nation. You can't tell another independent nation what to do, you know, and they have faced, you know, threats like you just never seen. Even Chuck Schumer has said, this is a quote from Chuck Schumer, he said, "We protested bigotry against minorities and LGBTQ. Apparently, that principle does not extend to the Jewish people. The anti-Semitism is coming from the left. The same people that are, you know, fought against perceived attacks against minorities, perceived attacks against gays or things like that." He's saying, you know, we fought for these, but where's people fighting for us now? They're fighting, those people are the ones fighting against us and supporting Hamas. They are in a pickle. How you know, and I just love this phrase, which is just absolutely ridiculous, to say you can be anti-Zionist and not be anti-Semitic. In other words, Jewish people are okay, just not in Israel. Get out. Go live somewhere else. How is that not anti-Semitic? You're telling people of a specific faith, we don't want you here. That is anti-Semitic by the most basic definition that you can come up with, to tell a certain people of faith, you don't belong here. And who has the right to tell them when there's 70% of the population there?
Well, that's the reason things are as they are. They're trying to eliminate them. They're trying to, you know, own that whole area, and you know, Israel is kind of a, you know, a little dot in the middle of the wilderness that is, you know, a problem to these folks, and they're doing their darndest to, you know, eliminate not only the people but change the land that they were given. And so I don't know. I don't know that we'll ever find out the real truth of what's going on, you know, or how deeply involved, you know, the United States really is. But I think, you know, probably some of it has to do with funding, potential funding. You know, I mean, it seems like every time we talk, it's always about follow the money. And I think, you know, and sure, Israel needs the money. They got to, you know, replenish all of those rockets that they sent up, and all of the equipment and all of that you know, they've either lost or destroyed and needs repair, you know, those kind of things. So, but has money been withheld by the United States and this administration, you know, and in order to keep these, you know, these supposed prisoner releases alive to the tune of 10 a day? You know, just tell them it's all or none today. It's all or none, because, you know, we're coming. But I don't know. That's the reason I'm not in charge, I guess.
So, you know, B, is America orchestrating this war, or is Israeli forces doing it? Because I don't see the Americans being able to direct what's happening. It looks like the Israelis are doing what the Israelis want to do, no matter who else tells them what. But what's your view on that?
Well, I think Netanyahu has pretty well said that what Israel is doing and is going to do. I mean, it's their country. They're doing what they feel is right. I don't think he would let the Americans orchestrate what they're doing over there. So I think he definitely is in charge and knows what's going on, and will continue to do what they want to do without any interference from the Americans. So, and I think Biden's going to try to interfere like he does everything else, but I don't think it's going to happen with the Israelis.
Yeah, and so far, I mean, no aid has been passed. The House passed a bill, but the Senate won't even take it up, because the way they fund it is taking money away from the IRS additional agents.
Yeah.
So
sure wouldn't want that to happen.
No.
So, you know, they're not, so we haven't sent any money, so we really don't have any skin in the game to say, well, we're going to give this money, but here's strings attached. You know, government doesn't give money away without strings attached, does it?
No. No, that's for sure.
And so we haven't done anything yet. So what's been done so far is completely on Israel. Whatever they've spent, whatever they've done has been what they've had. So
The only things that no strings are attached is funding Ukraine. And finally we woke up after, I don't know, 150, 200 billion dollars that, hey, maybe we should start attaching some strings, but not enough to really find out what, where that money went or what it's been used for or anything like that, and we still need to do that. But this administration and this Congress, I think you could say, is famous for spending money without strings being attached to any foreign entity. Now, when it comes to we, the people of the United States and the residents here, there are beaucoup of strings attached on everything. I mean, you just look at it, and everything has strings attached on all of these grants, and all of that stuff has strings attached. But that's only required in the United States. When it comes to foreign entities, just give them the money and don't worry about it. And that's the reason we're in the shape we're in.
And that's why I've always been for accountability on the money, and I haven't even been for the money. I've been for the equipment. If they need a tank, let's give them a tank, not how much it costs to buy a tank. If they need bandages, let's send them bandages. If they need materials to conduct the war, I'm not opposed to the material to conduct the war. Here's the thing. When's the last time you've got an update on what's happening in Ukraine?
It's been a while.
Yeah. And yet,
Been a while.
I'm assuming it's still going on. I'm assuming
Israel
Ukraine
kinda,
is still fighting for their country, and Russia's still trying to take it.
Israel kind of took over the headlines, and that's about it.
Yeah, yeah. So, but you talk about most of us in our lifetimes have never experienced this. But if you study history and you go back and you look at how wars have begun, this is how they begin. They don't begin the whole world just starts shooting at each other.
Yep.
It gets trickled in by regional conflicts that then spread. And
Well, I heard one, I don't remember what congressman it was yesterday, said that, well, the reason we needed to help Israel, we didn't want Putin to be taking that over. I thought, Putin has no interest in taking over Israel, but that was his theory, that we needed to fund, I guess, Israel and Ukraine and all of that, because the possibility that Putin might just decide to take over Israel. So, but on the other hand, Joe, he was in Pueblo yesterday. I seen this. I thought this was rather interesting. I think this is on the Gateway Pundit, and said Joe Biden on Wednesday, that was yesterday, traveled to Pueblo, Colorado to tour the CS Wind, the largest wind tower manufacturer in the world. Biden took no questions as he arrived in Pueblo. Biden was given a tour of the facility when he blurted out something about a code to blow up the world. He said, "Look, my Marine has a code to blow up the world. That does it." I think he was probably pointing to some of the wind towers, some of the parts to them. "This is not nuclear weapons, is it?" Biden said on a hot mic as he toured the facility. So, what he was thinking, who knows? But apparently his Marine has the code to blow up the world. It's like, wow. So I think we need to watch that Marine very carefully, whichever one it is. But
Yeah.
it's crazy stuff like that they got to quit turning him loose and sending him out.
Well, and you talk about releasing sensitive information. I think that's about as sensitive as it gets, and that a Marine has it. So it's not just watching that Marine for what that Marine might do. It's watching who might want to get a hold of that Marine for what he has.
Yeah.
Goodness, And they talked about Trump releasing any information or anything like that. And gosh, it was kind of like that was out of the blue too. It had nothing to do with the conversation that they were talking about.
No, he just, you know, I guess when he was walking through there, and well, you know, I mean, we went to Garden, the airport the other day, and my land's out east of Garden City. There are literally thousands of those towers and propellers and all that stuff stacked out there. But I never thought about them being anything to blow up the world.
Well, maybe what he's talking about is, you know, that might get the wind blowing for him. I don't know. But, you know, just another, you know, that this guy has just not got the mental capacity to do the job. You know, he's not the first one. Warren Harding actually said, I had no idea what this job entails. He died in office early, and which probably was a blessing to him and the nation, and his vice president. You know, I don't think gets the credit that he deserves. But Calvin Coolidge, probably the greatest president you'll never know about. I mean, we know about the dirty 30s and Hoover and all of that, but no one talks about the president of the roaring 20s. I mean, when life was good, when great things were happening, when everyone was prospering, that was Calvin Coolidge. And he was definitely a step up from Warren Harding. You know, the Teapot Dome scandal, and other things are happening under him. But this guy is in that category. He's in the Warren G. Harding category. You know, and it's just a shame. And all this scandal of his family's finances and all of this stuff, and the media just intentionally burying it and covering up and won't share any of this stuff. You know, it's just a perverse system that we have right now on it. And but at least the people so far, as the polls are saying, you know, want to change that. And you know, we talk about the prejudice that's happening towards Jewish people in this country right now. How about this little kid who was a Chiefs fan, who paints his face, and so there's a photo taken of him from the profile, and his face is just showing one half of his face, which is black. The other half of his face is red. But of course, the left can't have that, and so I'm trying to remember the name of this guy, Caron Phillips. And I have to find out the name of the organization that he writes for, because they're going to lose a lot of money, or their insurance company is about to. But so he takes a shot at this kid as saying the Chiefs need to punish this kid for being in blackface at a game. Well, he wasn't in blackface. Half his face was black and half his face was red, because those are the Chiefs colors, and he had on a headdress. And so when Caron Phillips found out, okay, so his face was half and half, he says, for the idiots in my mentions who are treating this as some harmless act because the other side of his face was painted red, I can make the argument that makes it even worse. Y'all are the ones who hate Mexicans but wear sombreros on Cinco. You know, and this is the thing, he was saying, well, now he's mocking black people and Native Americans. The thing is, it turns out, the kid is part Native American, number one, and it sounds like, from what I've read in this article on Fox News, that Kansas City Chiefs fans, and this game was in Vegas, but Kansas City Chiefs fans are going to paint their faces red and black at the next game to support this kid. And the dad, you know, and I don't think anyone has even issued an apology. Deadspin is the name of the organization this guy works for. But the kid's 9 years old, and I don't even think they're going to accept apology. I think a lawsuit is coming. But what do you think? A kid goes to a game, he's a Chiefs fan, he's got his Chiefs jersey on, he's wearing a headdress and he's painted up his face, he just loves his team. And some guy, some nut reporter, tries to get political about it all and run this 9-year-old through the mud. And the 9-year-old dad says, you know, he's broken up about it. He had no idea. He just goes to a game, and now he's been all over the country, his face all over the country because of it, in a negative way, which is never anything that a kid, 9-year-old, wanted to do. What do you think?
Well, I think that guy had to know that kid had his face painted 2 different colors. If he didn't, he wasn't checking out his resources very well, But I mean, surely he just didn't see that kid from one side and assume that, it was all black, and then, I mean, it's just ridiculous. But those guys are always looking for something to hang anybody that might look like they oppose, the liberal side of the world. And I think that was one of them. That kid had, him and his family and probably anybody else out there never thought anything about that when they seen that kid. As a matter of fact, they probably were very supportive of him dressing up like that, because that's what you do when you go to a ball game. You support your team, whether you're wearing a cap or whether you paint yourself up or whatever you want to do. You take your shirt off and paint whatever on your body, that's just a symbol of, supporting your team. And something like that, I guess that's kind of where we're at in this world. But somebody takes exception to it and trying to accuse you of something that you never intended to do, and they find you guilty before you were ever even, tried. That's the going way of doing business now. So I hope that kid turns out, wealthy before this is all over, because he dadgum sure got it coming, even though he's only, very, very young. I hope he sues the pants off of him, and there we go.
Well, I was at a KU game. It was freezing, and a guy didn't have his shirt on, and he cut in his chest hair KU. That was a little offensive to me, because I don't think I have enough chest hair I could do something like that. But,
You didn't write about him in the paper?
Oh, no. I was just like, that dude, that's a fan right there. He was willing to go out, and it was freezing, it was raining, and he had no shirt on, and he had KU carved out of his chest. But B, what do you think? Here's a little kid. The family said they're part of the Chumash tribe, hailing from California, and used to live on a reservation. The dad says, we never in any way, shape, or form meant to disrespect any Native Americans or any tribes. The tribe we're from doesn't wear that type of headdress. This specific headdress is a novelty piece. It's a costume. He said that's exactly what we had purchased it for and wore it for. Not any disrespect towards any Native Americans at all. But, I know you like the Chiefs. What do you think of some guy grabs this one image and like they said, apologies too late because the damage's been done. This kid's face is all over the world now for a negative purpose, and how do you fix that? But what's your thoughts on it?
I've been a sports fan my entire life, and to me, professional football fans have got to be the most, well, the word fan comes from the word fanatic. They've got to be the most passionate fans anywhere, because you go to any professional football game and you're going to see hundreds of people painted up. Look at some of these guys for the Raiders, that black and silver all over their face, all over their body. Nobody's ever wrote anything about them. That's part of the game. That's part of going out and enjoying the game and being a passionate fan towards your team and supporting them. It's stupid. If some guy just wanted to get some attention, he's going to get some attention when his boss fires him, and he's going to get sued for who knows how much. So I just think it's ridiculous that they go that far, and especially with a 9-year-old kid who's just out there supporting his favorite team. But then this is the world we live in. There's nutcases everywhere we turn around. So
well, that guy would have been a lot better off if he'd just went over and talked to that kid and asked him how come he was dressed up like that.
Exactly.
Oh, he wasn't at the game. He saw a photo.
Saw a photo, yeah.
And he posted the photo and said, this is, a kid in blackface. The Chiefs ought to condemn this and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, are you kidding me? It's a 9-year-old kid. And then when you see the other image of his face, so then when the guy got caught on that, instead of saying, my mistake, I didn't see the other half of that, the kid was just, being a kid. No, he doubles down.
Yeah.
Oh, now I can say it's even twice as worse now. It's just, it's amazing of the intolerance on the left. Of course, our name here is the Redskins. One year I had won some writing awards for sports, and the judge was a Native American, and the judge wrote, "As a Native American, I hope you guys continue to use the name Redskin." Well, somebody else online had responded to the use of the Redskin, and I was chatting back and forth with them, and then they shared the whole thread that we were chatting on, and I don't know where they got this, but they said, this is what I've been chatting with a guy in Kansas about the use of the name Redskin, and they're trying to justify it, and said so. And this is from Earl Watt, and just remember, Earl Watt is black. I was like,
Really? I hadn't noticed
where,
that.
where did they get that? I mean, what assumptions was made on that?
That's crazy.
And so I told him, I sent a message, I said, I'm not black, not that it would bother me if I were, but I just want you to identify me correctly. And I said, and by the way, I was judged by a Native American writing judge on sports, and they said, they want us to continue using the name. Well, the guy responded back and said, well, that must be an apple. And I was like, I'm not familiar with that term. And he said, yeah, red on the outside, but white on the inside.
Oh my God.
And I'm the one who's doing something racist or believing in the name Redskin, and this is the other side. This is the other side of the argument that you deal with. There's no justification for it. There's no, it's our way or no way. And I think even Chuck Schumer is seeing this in his own party now, realizing how far this stuff has gone, that Hamas is the one that you should be supporting, and if you don't, you shouldn't be a Democrat. If you don't support Hamas, who's the one who's really being persecuted here, you're the bigot. You're the racist. And now here the Jewish community is in a quandary. We've been Democrats and we've been supporting this stuff our whole life, and now they basically want us dead. They want us to walk away from our homeland, our native land. They want us to just give it away to these other people who don't want a two-state solution. These people want it all, from the sea, from the river to the sea. They want it all. How do you negotiate with people like that? What do you think the left is dealing with now with this issue in their party of, we're on Hamas's side, and if you're not on Hamas's side, Tlaib told the president, the American people aren't with you. They're with Hamas, and if you can't support that, you're the wrong guy.
Well, I think we got big problems, really big problems, and open borders are not helping that for sure. There's a lot of those people that are coming over, I'm sure, that are Hamas supporters and want to see the downfall of not only Israel, but the United States. And this administration is doing flat out nothing to prevent that. And, when you got Democrats, in high places starting to question, the moves and the antics and all of that, and some of them are switching parties and, going different directions, some even coming out and saying they'd support Trump. I think they begin to see the writing on the wall. But, we've got serious problems, and it's chaos. That's all it is. It's just chaos because the leader of the free world is not a leader. He don't even know how to, name something he does know how to do, other than read the teleprompter, I guess, and he's not too successful at that. But, I don't know. It's just, and that's all came about since Joe took office. All of this stuff, we were a peaceful world back about 4 years ago. There was peace. I think prosperity was beginning to sprout all over the world, and a lot of that had to do with the activities of that past administration, the Trump administration. And, I guess there's still some folks out there that believe that Trump's the worst guy in the world, but on the other hand, you better wake up and see what's in your own front yard. It's moved from the backyard to the front yard now. And, it's just a mess from day to day. It's not surprising that, you know, all of this is going on. Not surprising to me anyway, because we do not have a leader. And who's leading it is apparently anti-American, in my opinion.
So you've got this Democratic split. I mean, there's a large number of them that think Hamas is in the right here. I mean, and in academia, they've actually celebrated that attack on October 7th in places. And they're spreading the word in classrooms and all this that, you know, this is justified. This is just, you know, the outcome of occupying someone else's land and all of this stuff that they're throwing out there. But how do you think this affects the Democratic Party?
Well, I think it's causing a split with them. I believe that most of the Democrats realize that this is not something that we should be fighting for, because Hamas is definitely an evil force, and I think that we need to understand that, and I think people are coming to that understanding more and more every day. When you see our political leaders that are supporting Hamas over Israel, I mean, it's just crazy to think about. So I think people are getting wiser, and I think they're understanding what's going on and what the ramifications of continued support of Hamas would do. So people are smarter than we think sometimes, and once they use their brain for the right thing, they'll become to understand what people are fighting for, and that's freedom.
And do we support the Israeli nation of staying its own nation? And remember, you know, talking about whether we help or not, they have nuclear weapons. Israel is a nuclear capable country, one of the few on the face of the planet. You know, there's just a handful of us. Israel is one of them. And you know, to think about, you know, you talk about whether you live in a good or bad neighborhood, Israel's in a tough spot on the planet.
Yes, they are.
You know, and they're not surrounded by allies. They're trying to work on that. They're trying to build that and to say, let's get beyond religion and let's look at how we can help each other over here. Let's see how we can help with trade. Let's see how we can help, you know, our economies. Let's see how we can advance. But when you have people going to class, children learning to hate Jews, you know, I mean, the two things I've heard is the goals here from the Israeli side is to eradicate Hamas, where they can never be in leadership again in Gaza, and then to fix the education system so that they're not teaching this hate towards a people. I mean, imagine that over here if we were teaching, oh, wait a minute, we are. It's called CRT. It's saying that certain people of a color are born with the idea that they are oppressors. And other people are born with the concept that they are victims of oppressors. That is the most asinine teaching of anything ever in the history of America, and yet this is critical race theory at its core. Saying you were born to be an oppressor. That is garbage. Absolute garbage. So what are we doing that we can claim high ground any different than what Hamas is teaching in Gaza? To hate this group. Hate white people. You should hate white people. Their sole goal is to oppress you. That's what they exist for. They're born to do it. Who wakes up every morning and thinks, who am I going to oppress today? How many people wake up and say, you know, how am I going to pay the bills today? How am I going to, you know, make sure my kids, you know, are getting taken care of? How do I make sure? I don't think I've ever woken up and thought about an oppressive thought, but just thought, how do I try to make life a little bit better today?
Yep, I think that's it. Wake up, boy, I'm going to do something today, improve whatever it might be, you know. I mean, you get up. Of course, I guess that's the way we were educated back then. And in those previous days was that you're here for a purpose, and, you know, and you have the freedom to decide what that is, but you always want to improve things. It doesn't make any difference. That's just the American way to improve things. It's not to destroy somebody or some particular race or anything like that. It's, you know, how to work better together, how to make neighborhoods better, whatever it might be. But these folks have a different belief instilled in them that, just because you're a Jew, and you have a certain belief that you needed to be taken out. And that's just crazy to me. It doesn't seem like, that's just not the human way of doing business.
But look at what we do. We've got a member of Congress saying that a political rival running for president should be eliminated.
Yeah.
We've got Hillary Clinton saying that the MAGA people need to be re-educated. What's the difference?
Yeah.
What's the difference between what Hamas is asking? So I ask you this, and I don't know why Republicans won't say this, but if you're in a debate or you're on the stage with somebody from the left, you say, look, if you want bigger government, if you want less control over your own life, if you want other people to decide your future, you've got a choice right here. You can vote for that. If that's what you want, you can vote
You
for
can
my
move to one of
opponent.
those blue states. You bet.
But I'm not saying you don't have a right to vote for them. If that's what you want, you can vote to that. If you want to see your freedoms expanded, if you want more control over your own life, if you want to determine your own future, then you have a choice too. They're trying to take that choice away, not even have that choice, so that you have to only choose bigger government. You have to only choose less self-control. Choose that they will pick what energy that you can use. They will say what you can buy and from where you buy it. Those are the choices. There's no, and they say, oh, these people are anti-democratic. Really, it's anti-democratic that people have a choice on a ballot? When did that become that's exactly what democracy is about, choices. And
the freedom to choose that choice.
And I still ask, and I haven't seen a post yet, and I know there are some people who, don't like anything that I say, but I've yet to see them show me where Trump did anything that harmed democracy during his presidency. Where did he take authority away from anybody or anything and put it in the hands of government over the people? Even in the COVID situation, he didn't come out with a federal mandate. He said it's state by state. I'm sure he would love to say, yeah, there are going to be no school closures across the country. There'll be no this, no that. Did he do that? No.
Yep.
He said that each state has to determine what's right for their state. That's protecting freedom.
Yep.
Not, if you want to be a dictator, you don't give 50 states the right to do things that some of them are going to do what you don't like. But he did that. So you tell me how the guy is somehow, dictatorial, or his followers are just mesmerized. They're hypnotized. They need to be reprogrammed.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference in the two belief systems, the two political systems that we have here. Is one believes in that you're not smart enough to, judge what's best for you, and they need to be in charge, versus the other one that kind of waffles on the issue, but the Republican Party believes in, power of the people. And I think the Democrat Party, most of them believe that it's in the power of government. And so, you have a choice, so you can support either one. But, turning that around, and asking what Trump ever did to, harm the people, I guess you could also say, what has Biden done that has bettered the lives of the American people? I mean, let's see 2 or 3 examples of that. What has this administration actually done that improved the lives and the living standards of people, maybe not only around the United States, but around the world? We've spent tons of money. My goodness. I heard yesterday Bannon was talking about we're going to beat that 100-day time frame on another $1 trillion added to the national debt. And he's dropped it from 100 days to 90 now. That's over 3 months. We're going to add another $1 trillion. And what happens when, all of our GDP is consumed to pay that debt, and there's no money left over for anything else? So I don't know. Here's a little thing that I scene that I thought was kind of interesting, talking about different folks and been in the country for different reasons. This is from the O'Keefe Media Group. I think this was on the Gateway Pundit this morning. It said the group, O'Keefe Media Group, goes underground in Fresno, California to report on illegal Chinese-funded biolab. On March 3rd, an illegal biolab was discovered in a believed to be vacant building in Reedley, California in Fresno County. City code enforcement stumbled upon the building in December of 2022 when they discovered a garden hose running up into the building through a hole in the wall. In March, they obtained a warrant to inspect the property, and in April, the Fresno County Department of Public Health ordered an inspection of the facility. The environmental health inspection conducted on-site visits and noted numerous violations, according to Judicial Watch. Failing to prepare and implement a hazardous materials business plan for storage of hazmat over state thresholds. Judicial Watch uncovered court documents that include graphic photos of dead mice at the Reedley facility. Daniel Cepeda, U.S. congressional staffer to Representative Jim Acosta, Democrat from California 21st District, admitted that the illegal Chinese biolab posed a grave risk to public health and national security. Acosta's boss thought that the lab endangered public safety. Yes, he does, Cepeda stated into one of the button cameras. That's kind of what O'Keefe does. He goes around and talks to these guys with these little cameras and rolling. And anyway, he said, I saw they had a secret recording of the lab owner saying he was doing it to the benefit of the Chinese government. I knew months before anybody else did how many other people are creating labs within the United States. Could there be more? Or there could be more, he said. So, you know, that was just in a vacant building in the heart of massive population that Chinese communists are operating a biolab. And we all had a little experience from, you know, a biolab in Wuhan, you know, and what came from there. But this one is actually being operated right here in the United States, or was anyway. So how many more of them are out there?
Yeah, and I saw reports on that they had some serious diseases in a refrigerator. You know, I mean,
yeah.
This is just why are we dealing with China? Why are we trading with China? Why are we treating China like some national equal? They are not. They don't have the world's best interests at heart. They're not just trying to be a good global partner. Just look at their actions and look at what's happening. You know, they steal intellectual property. They're sending students to our colleges, not so that those kids can, you know, look for a job or a career or anything like that. It's so that they can bring back what they don't know back to their area. You got to remember, back when Kissinger and these guys opened it up in the late 60s, early 70s, it was a feudal society. You have to go back 500 years in the evolution of European society to be where China just was 50 years ago. And in 50 years, you think you can take a feudal society to an ultra-modern society? You can't. We took decades, centuries to do it. And we're trying to, and that's how these kind of things happen.
Still trying.
Because they haven't gone through and developed that through time like we had to. And, you know, we're doing this all wrong. We're using the stuff you buy and I have to buy because now it's only made in China is slave labor stuff. And where's the discussion on that? You know, Rosalind Carter just recently passed away. I guarantee you, Jimmy Carter, one of the good things that he did do was, you know, we're going to base our trade on human rights. Do you treat your people the way we treat our people? That's who we're going to trade with. And if you don't, we're going to expect you to do it. We're going to expect you to making the improvements and enhancements so people are free. We don't do that. Matter of fact, so the people, a major party in this country is trying to go the opposite direction, saying we should be more socialist. Ask the people under 25. They think socialism is better than free enterprise. So, and where are they getting that?
Yeah.
I can tell you where they're getting that, and that's part of the problem. But, B, I don't know if you've heard about this lab. What's your reaction to that?
That's the first I've heard about it, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, we talked about these Chinese police stations around the country and everything else going on with China. So it's just another thing that China's trying to do to create havoc for our country. It happens all the time.
It does, and we've got to get a handle on this, and we got to get this mentality. China is not our ally,
Right.
our friend. Their goal is to surpass the United States of America in every way, shape, and form, and to do it under a communist government. They're not doing it by opening up their doors to freedom and democracy and elections and more people control, less government control. They're going the opposite way with all of that. So,
But China's best ally has been well paid, and he sits right smack dab in the White House, him and his entire family.
Yeah.
and yet our media will not address that issue at all.
No.
Will
Nothing.
not. They just it's a right-wing conspiracy.
Yep.
That's how you just explain that stuff off. It's a right-wing conspiracy.
Yep.
I got one last story here I want to go through. This kind of end this up on a good day. I got this out of the Gateway Pundit. It said, when all machines fail, Indian rat miners dig nonstop for 26 hours with hand tools to free 41 workers trapped in a collapsed tunnel. 41 workers were trapped in a collapsed mountain tunnel in India while frantic efforts were made to free them. It is true that they had oxygen, and at some point even food was delivered to them, but the days went on and the attempts to free them failed. You ask yourself, how long can they last? Finally, 17 days in, it rose that they were sending human diggers called rat hole miners to do the job. They are specialists in dealing with digging in perilous circumstances. To everyone's glad surprise and relief, the rat miners came through and saved every one of the 41 trapped miners. So anyway, they tried all kinds of machines and one thing or other, but they saved 41 of those guys.
Wow.
Just by using shovels and picks and what have you, bare hands.
Rat miners.
Rat miners. Anyway, those will come in handy. We better get their phone numbers. You can't ever tell.
Well, congratulations to them.
Okay.
And it's 41 people that they saved.
Yep.
I mean, that's a great story. Well, we don't want to leave you without your Squeaky Clean Car Wash weather report. Today's a 40% chance of rain, mainly after 4 p.m. Partly sunny with a high near 45. North wind 11 to 14 miles per hour. Tonight, a chance of rain before 8 p.m. Then a chance of snow between 8 p.m. and midnight. Cloudy, then gradually becoming partly cloudy with a low around 18. North wind 9 to 11 miles per hour. Chance of precipitation is 50%. New snow of less than a ½ inch possible. Looking ahead to the rest of the week here, Friday be back sunny and 43 tomorrow. Saturday sunny and 46. Saturday 46, Sunday 56, Monday 63, Tuesday 60, and Wednesday 66. So today looks like it might get a little bit wet, but it looks like right back to clear skies, moving on into the weekend and up into the 60s next week. I'm looking forward to that.
There you go. We like anything that's wet.
So that's the news and views you can use on the High Plains Thursday, November 30th, 2023, the last day of November. We're into the last month of the year.
You're going to do
starting
something
tomorrow.
in November, you better get it done today.
We'll be back with you in the morning at 7:30. Until then, this is Earl with the Leader in Times with Jim Rice and B. Simon saying when you live in Liberal,
Or took him carrying to Mexico.
there's no place like home. Have a great day, everybody.